What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Assisted Living Investing. If you are a real estate investor or a house flipper like I used to be, you should be considering getting into the assisted living space. And I'll talk to you about why. First and foremost, all of these other investment opportunities are struggling so hard right now, right? The amount of deals that are out there are like slim to none. There's almost nothing in house flipping, wholesaling, multifamily, all of that kind of stuff. The next 20 plus years is all about the baby boomers. Doesn't matter what type of industry you're in, you need to start selling your products towards the baby boomers. They have lots of capital and they are getting to that age of 65 to 80 years old in like massive record waves. So if you're in the real estate space, start switching your mind. How do I capitalize on the opportunity here? And so I made this switch and I want to talk to you about it because I started my really house flipping kind of real estate investing journey in 2011, got into house hacking where Laura and I lived in a house and we flipped it ourselves. And that got us the capital to get started. And by about 2014, we were full-time running our house flipping company. We built out a great team of people. We had two crews, construction crews. We were doing a lot of different flips. We were probably flipping and rehabbing 25, 30 houses a year and wholesaling some other ones. So over the course of about 8 years, we flipped and wholesaled about 200 houses. Now, that's fantastic. We made great money, but all of that money went back into the business. There was no like huge profit that I took away from this. There was no massive savings, right? I bought a dozen or 15 or so rentals during that time. And that was really the only thing that I had adding to my balance sheet. I was not becoming crazy wealthy doing all of this. And it was so much work. There was so much drama. It was just a heck of a business and crazy ups and downs. And so I want to talk to you because I flipped the switch, moved into a new space, and the consistency is crazy. There's no more rapid swings of inconsistency with capital and those kind of things. It's super, not easy, but it's very, very consistent. And consistency was one of the things I really wanted. I was coming from this place, we were doing a lot of marketing in my flipping company, right? We were doing tons of direct mail. Sending out tens of thousands a month. We were doing pay-per-click. We brought in people to do cold calling over time. We had a door knocking team. We were like going and talking to people in pre-foreclosure and giving them like this packet of all this different stuff. We were doing text blasts. We were doing so many different things over the years. And you know what? Something would hit and it'd be awesome for like 3 to 6 months. And you'd buy, a good amount of houses. You make some great money. And then something would happen. The market would switch. You would have all sorts of other competition coming in. Just people would realize like, hey, this is the opportunity over here. And people would move to that area as far as like buying houses and things like that. And all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, well, I was making great money. I got all these deals over here. And then that dried up. But since then you had like blown up your marketing spend. You had hired another, department, another team. And all of a sudden all of your expenses are gone, right? Like as the market continued to flow and shift, right? It's this moving target in this real estate game. And that was the biggest, most frustrating part for me. We'll make amazing money and then it would just be, bloop, it's gone, right? Or you'd have all of these deals on the board and you're gonna make, 40, 60, 80 grand on some of these deals. And then appraisal would come 40 grand low. And then the seller would ask for a list of 20 things, new roof and all new plumbing and all this kind of stuff. It's like, bro, like that's not realistic. This house is from the 60s. That's what it is, right? And all of a sudden you're, 40, 50 grand in profits. Like, oh, there's barely anything left. And by the time you pay your team and your commissions, it's like, I should have just wholesaled this, right? It didn't make any sense. And so I was really looking for a way to grow my net worth. I wanted to be worth millions and millions of dollars. And man, I had a hard time trying to get there in the house flipping game, right? The really only thing that grew my net worth was my rentals. And those were such a pain in the butt. Man, I was making, sometimes, honestly, a good amount of them like nothing. Some of them like $300 a month. And then after a few years, some of them got to about $1,000 a month, which was good. But the amount of headache and all the things that went along with it was just not worth it. The juice was not worth the squeeze. And so those are in California where I am from, and we have sold, well, we're still selling off some of them and really moving to a different asset class because, man, that was not the path for me to scale. I got started, I hit financial freedom through that, but I got over that. I'm gonna tell you, I learned and I grew and I moved into a different space, and that's what I wanna talk to you about today because the opportunity is so much better where the market is going. Don't get left behind with where the market used to be. There was a ton of opportunity there 10 years ago when I was getting started in that space, right? That market is dried up. There is less and less and less opportunity there. The opportunity is where the baby boomers are. They are just hitting 80 years old. We are good for the next 25 years on this huge opportunity. And because of where the marketplace is, and interest rates being what they are, big corporate, all of the big REITs and those kind of stuff, they are not keeping up with supply. We are building at like 25 to 33%, depending on the statistics, of what we need. Year over year, we are drastically short, right? And as the population is continuing to increase, this is more and more where the opportunity is. So if you have real estate experience, right, like I did, let me show you how you can use that and shift your focus into the best opportunity right now. So let me tell you about what we do. And I first heard of assisted living, I heard of residential assisted living, right? These little 6-8 beds where you go and you buy a house and you convert the garage and you have 6 or 8, grandmas or grandpas in there and you have a live-in caregiver. That's not what I'm talking about. That's dog crap. That does not work. And I'm sorry if you do it, but it doesn't work. So I want to talk to you about what we do. And I went through the school of hard knocks over years trying to figure a model out that is scalable, repeatable, can work anywhere in the country and makes amazing money. So I call them mansions, right? They are assisted living mansions. And sometimes I call them memory care mansions because we take care of people with dementia in these custom built mansions. So this is my niche here, my model, right? We build and operate luxury 10,000 square feet mansions. They have 16 private rooms. They have full bathroom. We have a library. We have a salon. We have a chef. We have all the care that you could get at the big smelly facility. If you go to the 60, 80 beds and you walk in, you're like, oh, this place is horrible and I want to run away. Those places right there, we can do everything that they can do. And that's important because as you're getting to end of life and you have more medications and you need help showering and toileting, and you have memory care and you have behaviors and all the things that you need, PT and OT and hospice and doctors and nurses, you need all that stuff. We can do all of that stuff in a smaller, more intimate 10,000 square foot mansion. Everyone's still got their own bedroom, shower, everything, right? A chef that knows exactly what they like and can memorize their food, habits and restrictions and things and cook for them. That's what we do. And I built that. I started in 2020 and then we are scaling and we are building out more and more of these that I run here in the greater Austin area and that we partner with people across the country to do. So this model is amazing and I want to share it with you. The numbers are super important, right? Top line income there, you want to definitely be over 100,000. I think if you can get to about $120,000 a month of income from rents collecting from your grandmas and grandpas, 7,500, 8,000, 9,000, if you can get to those numbers, and honestly, you can pretty much everywhere in the country when you're considering end-of-life care and or memory care. That's kind of what the going rate is, even in the kind of middle America places. So that kind of number, you subtract all of your staffing, your management, your OpEx, your real estate costs, and you still net consistently about $40,000 a month. So that's about $400 to $500 a year that you make as the owner. And then also you have a massive real estate play because there's really two parts to this business. There's the operations company, which spits off great cash flow. And then there's the real estate company, which you build massive wealth in. And that's really what I was looking for. I was trying to find a way to get out of the flipping game and say, how do I do one big deal a year? How do I do one deal that will make me $1 million+ and I can keep that and it can build wealth and then I can scale and move on to the next and continue to stack my chips because, doing this with $300 a month on a rental property, that was not getting me anywhere. So I wanted to build big wealth and this is the model that I'm using. So there's two parts to this deal, right? You have the operations company. That is the one that hires your staff, takes care of your grandmas. That is really an active business. I do not see, practically speaking, this model as a passive investment. You can't just go raise money and build these across the country and like hire a management company and say, cool, I am good, right? Because that's what all the big facilities do, right? If you look at all the big facilities across the country, about half of them own their own operations company. Half of them just rent the building, and they are all failing. They are all making no money, especially post-COVID. Nobody wants to be in the big smelly facility, even if it's nice. There's plenty of new construction facilities that are just built in the last 3 years here in my city, and they all have an occupancy of like 65%. They are probably breaking even because they provide terrible care. So I wanna tie these two things together. If you have this real estate experience, also, what is super important to that is the operations company. And this is an active business, and that's why I think it's not best to go and be passive in this. Because if you are passive, just like the big facilities, what happens when you're renting this business to somebody, even if they're on a 10-year triple net, right? And they fail and they go under. It happens all the time. I see the same buildings turning management companies every 2 or 3 years, right? They just can't fill the beds because it's all staffing. It all goes back to heart and taking great care of people. So if you are that kind of person who is looking to make a difference, help people, care for people, you have this real estate experience, you don't have to have the medical experience. I didn't. We'll get there in a second. But you can make amazing money on an active business, do it near where you live, and then you also have the real estate play. We build new construction. We build for about $3 million per building. That is all of the hard cost and the soft costs. We use SBA loans, so they'll fund the land acquisition, the construction, they'll fund all the reserves, they'll fund the working capital, the FF&E, they'll fund all of the interest capital while construction. They'll fund most of it, and you only need about 10 to 15% down. So it's not a massive amount of money that you need to raise to be able to do this. I think that's why it's super important. SBA will lend not to investments, not to real estate investments, right? They will lend to businesses. And so come at it from that perspective. If you have real estate experience and you want an active business, right? My house flipping company was not a passive investment company, right? It was an active business. My rental properties, now those were passive, right? As long as I had a property manager. So same kind of thing. If you're looking for an active business that also has a long-term real estate play, right? We are building wealth during these things. I'm building for $3 million. My appraisal is at 6. Now it's 5 for the real property, the building, and then 1 for my operations company, right? So $6 million when I go and sell these things, that's what I'm building per mansion, right? And I'm building a neighborhood of these. So there is long-term wealth building opportunity while there is the active play there, right? While you can take care of your family. You only need, it's $400 or $500 grand a year that you make, right? So your spouse can quit. You could do this together, right? You probably should want to keep your job for a little bit till you get stabilized, but after that first year, right? Retire your spouse or retire your parents or whatever it is. Like you'll have plenty of capital, and then you'll have the long-term wealth building capital on the passive side in the real estate as well. So when I was considering this on the operations company, I knew it was gonna be a lot of hard work. And we actually opened during COVID, so it was like 4x the amount of hard work and all the crap that we had to go through. But it was realistically maybe a year or so of really diving in, getting into this thing, because I had no medical experience, right? Laura had no medical experience. We had experience raising money, we had experience with construction, we had experience with deal structure, and I knew nothing about the other side. So just to be blunt, like it was not easy and like, boom, like everything's perfect, right? It was a hard year of really learning everything and building my team. And so we hired a experienced big box medical person, right? They were a manager at one of the big facilities, and we brought them in, put them on salary, offered them also a profit sharing agreement, get them with skin in the game. And we, myself and Laura, learned alongside this person for that first year. And went through the school of hard knocks, and we learned system by system everything that we needed to know on the operations company side, on the medical side, on the dementia side, on the medication side. There was a lot to learn. But realistically, after that first year, we had built out our team, our manager was there, we had solid caregivers and med techs and chef, and then it was like probably 9 months or so, we started drastically pulling back our time, working less and less, getting to a place where we started working 3 days a week, and then probably about year 2 working 1 day a week. And we've been running this for about 5 years. We probably work 2 to 4 hours a week. I'm probably like 1 to 2 hours. Laura probably works about 4 hours a week at Platinum. And we have been like that for years. So it was, I guess this is kind of why I say this, because if you are looking for an active company that is still relatively passive, right? And once you build your team and your systems and everything, it's the most passive active business that I know, if that makes sense, right? So for us, we stabilized everything. We got our people all together. We had a great manager running it for us. And then from there, it was, you know what? Do we want to chill and spend time with our kids, or do we want to scale? And we took probably about 2 years of kind of chilling. We were looking for the right opportunity. We were looking for the right piece of land. When we did find it, we jumped on it, but it took us a while to get all of our ducks in a row and figure out what we wanted to build, because I was trying to figure out how I'm going to build this neighborhood. Anyways, so 2 years of kind of chilling, being very, very bored while consistently making $400,000+ a year and working just a couple hours a week. So that is the potential here. And this is why I tell you that when I was flipping houses and pulling my hair out and getting low appraisals and having deals fall through and all the things that were just driving me nuts, if someone would have said, hey, Brett, like 3 years earlier, check this out, right? Do this over here, right? That's why I filmed this show, so that I can show you, hey, maybe do this, right? If you're the right kind of person, take a look over here. So now we are scaling, right? We started about a year ago with construction. We just finished building phase 1 of our neighborhood of mansions. We'll have another 32 beds. So we have 48 beds here in Georgetown, Texas. And then I have another expansion that is on deck, phase 2, and 2 more mansions. So we have about 8 acres, 4 mansions, 10,000 square feet. They're all custom built, just BA, gorgeous mansions. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram, Assisted Living Mansion, and check out what our buildings look like. They are breathtaking and gorgeous. So that right there, right, huge wealth that we're building. Personally, to myself and Laura, more than 8 figures of net worth added from this after debt and paying investors and everything, just to our plate. And we didn't spend any money of our own money into this deal. So massive wealth building and just crazy 7-figure plus yearly cash flow that comes in from this opportunity. Now, again, like we're going to go through this hard time for the first probably year, right? Like building our team, stabilizing everything, but we have tons of insulation on the management side because the numbers are so strong. That's why I told you, you want to be about 120,000 top line income per mansion, and you can have twice the staffing you need, or at least on the management side. You can pay $2 more an hour for all your caregivers. You can add benefits to your caregivers. None of the big smelly facilities do that, right? You steal all the best caregivers and you steal all the best grandmas from them. And it makes this much more easy, because honestly, it is a very hard business. And if you can't afford to pay for the best staff, then you're gonna really have a hard time with this, and it always falls on you. And that's why these small, dinky little RELs that are mom and pop run, they are working 7 days a week. They are picking up the night shifts. They were doing all these things every time one of their caregivers calls in sick, because the math doesn't make sense for them. They don't have the income to pay for the best people and have insulation on their staffing. So when Laura and I were getting into this space and we would tell people, hey, you know, we're getting into assisted living, and they would look at us like, really? Like, you don't know anything about assisted living, do you? And we're like, no. But you're not a nurse or a doctor? No, we're not. We're house flippers, right? They look at us like, you're crazy. Like, you're going to fail. And you know what was so funny? It was our lack of experience in assisted living that helped us be really successful. And here's why. Because honestly, this industry is super outdated. People are doing things that, like, just the market has moved and shifted, and like post-COVID, nobody wants the product that everyone is building. And big corporate and all of the, you know, directors and people who run big facilities, right? They're stuck in the 1980s, and they keep doing it the same way. They train the next generation of staffing to do it the same way, and it's crap, and nobody wants that. And so I came in from just a fresh perspective, and I'm like, why are you doing this? I challenged every single thing, from the way the buildings are designed, to the operations company, to the marketing. I challenged every single thing. I read the code on every single thing. I did my research, and I changed so much of it. And it was just like, man, the market just like exploded for us. We have this massive wait list. We have people knocking down the door to come and move in, right? Why? Because we didn't build what everyone else is building. It was like, I came from the perspective, the first person that we moved in to Platinum Resort was my own grandma. And I came from that perspective. I'm building this for my own grandma. What does she want? How am I doing the food and the menu? How am I designing the rooms? How am I, we have like floor to ceiling, like 16-foot glass walls, right? It just looks like this boutique hotel. It's gorgeous, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna come in, what would I wanna live in, right? What can I do for my grandma? How can I take care of my own family with the staffing and all these kind of things? And people, when you come in, honestly, most of this is corporate and they just keep copying, pasting the same outdated, broken system. So come in with no experience and just challenge everything and do your research, do your homework. And we were super successful, really coming from, I'm a business person, let me think like a business person. I have a heart and want to take care of people. Let me think about how would I do that? Honestly, I don't think this is a very complicated business. It's simple. We're just providing amazing care. It's almost like preschool, except for people at the other end of the life scale here, right? But it is difficult. It is challenging, but not complicated to figure out. So who is this for, right? I've seen a lot of success with couples, husband and wife that have each other's back. Maybe one's a nurse, one has like real estate experience. I've seen those kind of teams be super successful. I've seen people who have a big heart for this, and I think that's really important. You need some type of business or medical experience that you can run your operations company from, make the math work, be able to run payroll, manage your team, right? And then you have to have heart. And I see so many times people come in who are just like numbers driven. You're a real estate investor. You've done a bunch of syndications and apartment deals, and you're just going to come in and like, this math makes the most sense. I don't know if that's honestly for you, right? Because it all goes back to numbers, and numbers mean selling beds. Selling beds means a great reputation. A great reputation means great care. If you cannot provide real, genuine love, then it is a domino effect to losing money. I want to say it so strongly. We are very, very successful because we provide the best care in our city. And because of that, everyone knows. And because of that, everyone calls. And because of that, we have a big wait list and we increase our prices. And because of that, we can pay our staff more. And because of that, I have the two things that I want: time freedom and financial freedom. So if that is what you're looking for, you have that kind of heart and experience, then I would say get into the assisted living game. And where do you start? I have hundreds of hours of free content, right? This podcast, my YouTube channel, we have free courses on our website. There are 3 of them right now, probably 12 plus hours of no BS, hardcore, actionable content, not fluff, step by step. Here's how you go and do it. So jump into this space, reach out to me, comment below, let me know what else I can help you with.